All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf podcast where top real estate agents tell how they do it. And today I'm so excited to tell you that we have a very special guest, Carmen Casadella. She is in new development and is going to be teaching and sharing with us a lot about that because she's so hyper focused. I mean, you're representing 16 developments right now
We
and
do.
4 coming up. And we're talking like some of these developments have 300 to 400 units and 40 floors in them. So that being said, you are with Fortune International Group in South Florida. Carmen, hi, and thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you, to share with your audience. It's a pleasure being here, and I can't wait.
I couldn't feel more the same. So start off for us. Tell us like who you are today. What do you do? Obviously, you're a licensed real estate agent, but it's pretty specialized.
I am. I am because I work in a little bit slightly different part of real estate. In Miami, we sell a lot in pre-construction. So that means that we start selling projects, and I mean high rises, large buildings, even before that we put a shovel in the ground. So before we start the construction, we do a pre-construction phase, and then we start selling them sometimes months before we even launch the construction. So it requires a different skill set because you don't have a property to show per se. You are based on floor plans, we are based on renderings, you are based on a beautiful sales gallery that we try to convey, the lifestyle that the client might possibly have when they live in that building years later. So this is something that is very special to South Florida, but in Miami, we've been doing it for years and it works extremely well.
Wow. So you're selling properties to people, and we're talking like these aren't just little investment condos. I mean, they might be investments for some buyers, but you're selling properties that are going to not even be here for another 2, 3, potentially 4 years.
Correct. Exactly. Because one of those high rises, by the time you do foundation, you get the top off and you finish all the interiors, it definitely takes like 3, 4 years. But I think it does also propose a different model of a payment structure. So the client is able to pay along the construction for a portion of the total payment and then pay the rest, the other half normally. You pay 50% along the construction and the other half when the apartment is delivered. So that is interesting to some people that might not be able to come with a big down payment. And also it does offer the possibility of being able to plan ahead and do something for the future.
Wow. So you say all of that like it's just so easy, but as an agent who sells something that they can see and feel and touch, and they're just putting in a little earnest money, and when we close, they're usually, I know enough about new construction that they're often not putting down the kind of money you put on these new construction developments. So what's that like, somebody who does this all the time? I mean, how do you draw that picture for them so that they see it? And how do you know when you're dealing with the right buyers?
So basically, it requires a little bit of a different skill set. I think like storytelling is very important, believing in the project and believing on what the project is going to be like and how it's going to impact the area positively in the future, that it requires that you are 100% committed to that evolution of the city.
Yeah.
So it's not only like you selling the 4 walls. It's not, you cannot show the closets, you cannot show the space, the living space, but you can definitely propose the lifestyle that the client is going to have, the environment where they're going to live in, and also it's selling the dream, it's selling the benefits of all that area and all that change that it's coming to you. So sometimes for some type of agents, it's easier to sell the reality, to go and take your client to see the home, to see the apartment. For other agents, it's actually easier to sell that dream and that different kind of property that it is not four walls, but it is something that has to do with the aspiration of where the client wants.
What kind of buyer is it? I'm going to be funny. That's crazy enough to buy something that's not going to be here for 4 years and hand the money over like that. But I really like, what kind of buyer is that you know and find when they're going to buy a property like what you're selling?
So typically in Miami, of course, we have a lot of interest from South American buyers. So that historically has been the engine that has propulsed the city moving forward. But in the last year and a half, the percentage of sales done to international buyers and the domestic buyers has changed dramatically. So now over half of our buyers are coming from other states of the United States. It used to be only about 20% of that. So our buyer is well used to do that kind of payment in stages, because that's how it works in their countries. So they're not afraid. They study the developer. They know that we work with very reputable developments. We as Fortune as well, we've been 35 years in the business. We've been doing this over and over again for years through real estate cycles, through ups and downs. So they know us, and they know that when we attach our name to a development, then it is something that it's solid, it's something that it's moving forward, it's something that is going to be a reality. So our clients are used to work with us. We normally work with a network of brokers that bring us their clients. And on the other hand, basically we have as well our own brokers. Fortune has their own brokers that bring us the clients too. So I think that for the international buyer is clear. For the domestic buyer has taken a little bit more of learning curve. But I think that because the inventory in Miami is so low, they much rather wait for a year or 2 or 3 or whatever it takes, so that they get the perfect apartment with the amazing views in a great waterfront location, that they will do just buying something now immediately when the inventory is low and they feel like they might not get exactly what they want.
So basically, I think the domestic buyers are buying something now because that's the only way they're going to get it.
Well, I mean,
but that's not built yet. That's that's doing a pre-purchase. I didn't say that.
Correct.
Yeah.
They prefer to buy something that is exactly what they dream of and what they want, and it has the kind of amenities they want, and it's in the location and the views that they want, rather than commit to something quickly. They prefer to rent for a little bit and wait for their construction to be finalized so that they can move in.
And I think after COVID, like the quarantine, I say after, like it kind of keeps lingering on, but especially after that intense quarantine period, everybody's like, wait, this is like my home. I'm getting serious about this. I'm getting it right. But that might have a lot to do with it.
Absolutely. We have seen a shift in behavior of our clients that are coming to Miami looking for something different. They're looking for outdoor living, for lifestyle, for being able to perhaps work from home because technology now allows it. So with that in mind, and the fact that they want to give something else to their families, we have seen a lot of clients coming here, not for the second home, but actually to move to Florida permanently. Obviously, this have also been a factor. Taxes in Florida are lower, and everybody knows about it. And from coming from the Northeast and the higher taxing states,
much higher.
That has also been a big attractive.
No, state income tax makes a really big difference.
Big time, absolutely.
So here's one thing too. You were talking about. So you guys, like at Fortune International Group, you're a real estate brokerage. You guys have a lot of new construction that you represent, a lot of high-rise boutiques. You've got agents who are also helping, but they're traditional real estate agents doing traditional business. And the one thing we left out is Fortune International Group is also, I think you guys develop. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So we have 3 lines of businesses that we have had since the beginning, and they kind of seem to help each other. So one of it is, like you said, the traditional realty, shop. We have our own agents. We have over 1,000 agents that are well equipped and trained to sell pre-construction, as well as other things, as well as resales and everything else. But then that development, that new development that wants to launch, benefits from having those agents that get first dibs almost, and potentially showing to their clients. So they have a very strong relationship. At the same time, we are as well developers, and that benefits our developers that we have, and we work with them as a third-party sales and marketing agency, because we know what development means in Miami. We know the hoops that you have to go with the city.
Yeah.
We know the construction, hurdles that you always have to overcome. So we almost also offer that kind of consulting to new developments that might want to come to Florida, and they are from out of state, or they are from even international developers as well.
Because some people might say, well, isn't that a conflict of interest? But it literally, everything feeds on everything. Your experience as a developer feeds on your assisting the development. Mm-hmm. Your compartment of having agents who are doing resales gives you access to the field, access to the buyers out there who are looking at their options to funnel them into your developments. Now, let's talk about you a little bit. How did you come into such a unique, specialized place in real estate? What's your story, and why, how, when did you get into development, and what led you to today? But take us to the beginning.
Yeah. So the beginning is I have a bachelor's degree in advertising and journalism. So I always was kind of like loving the marketing aspect of it. And when I moved to Miami, I started working for a development company, but doing the marketing portion of it. So I was in the VP of marketing. So I was enjoying that very much, learning the trade, meeting a lot of brokers, organizing trips, international trips for our agents. So basically covering everything, all the aspect of sales, but from the marketing point of view. When 2008 came around, and sales dramatically slowed down, and basically we were finishing some projects, but there weren't any new projects coming on board. I was told, you either move to sales or there isn't much to be done in marketing anymore. So that kind of put me in a dilemma, but of course I took it because that's what I had in front of me. I started taking some time off because I actually had a child around that same time. But in 2011, I joined Fortune, and I started really strong in sales, really enjoying it from the very first moment, and achieving a great success that brought me into my vice president position a couple of years ago.
So basically, you go to college, you get a degree in sales and in marketing and journalism. Mm-hmm. You take that into a, quote, real job. 2008 hits, that's gone. But you had a baby, took care of your son, started to raise him. And then in 2011, you decided to get back into this crazy business.
Correct.
But again, as a sales kind of, I would say what I call it, like on-site salesperson.
Yes.
For developments for, yeah. So what did that look like? What did that mean for those agents out there that want to learn the business or want to know about, like, what's the difference between that specific role and what I do as a traditional agent? Kind of describe that to us.
Okay, so big difference. So the in-house agent position might appeal to somebody that wants a little bit more structure. So it's nice because you dress up in the morning, you go to the office, you have certain hours, you welcome, the brokers that bring you their clients, you make appointments, you sometimes go on visits to brokerage companies, but you do work in this beautiful environment because the sales galleries here are, like the dream that you see in the movies normally the villain house is the most beautiful, exciting home. So that's what it, the super palace that our sales gallery look like. So basically, that is the work of the in-house agent. You are selling only that property, the property of the project that you are placed in. The only problem is that you also have to cover weekends. So, you have a rotation on how you are covering the 7 days of the week at the sales gallery. You get leads because we do all our marketing efforts. So you get leads, you get walk-ins, you get phone calls, and you have to, of course, take care of those, plus your outreach of the people that you already know, the brokers that you already know, and perhaps direct clients that you already know. So that's how you start making your sales. As a sales agent in a project, as an in-house, you also get a draw. That means that you get some advancement on your commission. So you get a monthly payment. So that's appealing to some people that prefer to have some more of a security. But of course, the amount of commission that you get paid out of each sale is less than you will typically make in a general. You make about normally about a 1%.
Wow. So basically it's the kind of job, well, you came into this industry just having a job. So this was more like, for a lot of agents, it's too much stability or too many guidelines. For you, it was a way you expanded your business. You probably in the end increased your ability to make an income as you did this job and learned sales and did sales. So
I didn't like the idea of having a job to go to and having a discipline that kind of made me spend that many hours on the phone and do, because that's the person that I am. I know that if I stayed home, I probably would do less that I am capable of. So that kind of work for me. That's why I'm saying it depends on how your drive is, how disciplined you are, how you prefer to like be moving around all day long, or you prefer to have an office. So there are different situations that an agent might prefer one thing or the other.
So for you, you've been doing this. I have two questions in mind, but I'm going to start with the first one. You started in as just a marketing person. I say just a marketing person. You're VP of marketing, and then you're like, then they're like, so sorry, go sell. So you start selling. Now, by the way, I don't know if we've really touted you well enough. You are the vice president of new construction sales for Fortune International Group. That's a big difference between where you started just kind of coming in on site. So tell us a little bit about what you did in the beginning and what your role really is now, and how it's different.
So, I mean, I think the story of success, like we've seen many times over and over again, is about putting the hours, is about working really hard. I felt like every time that I did something out of my comfort zone, so if I went to see like the brokerage company that was 20 miles away, or I started doing cold calls that nobody really likes doing, or I took somebody, out for a coffee or something like that, I got results. I got direct results. So that is, I think, that's what your motivation and putting the extra mile really pays off, because there is always something that you can do more, right? With this, there's always more agents that you can call and more brokerage companies you can visit and more clients that you can take care of, if it's a Saturday or if it's a Sunday or if it's a Friday night at 8 p.m. So you just have to be available. That's kind of like, I think, a key of having the brokerage community feel that you are reliable and you are available at all times, and that makes you be a more desirable agent to talk to. Now, from going to being marketing to sales to now this other position is just about adapting yourself. So it's about different challenges, wanting to do something else, wanting to learn more. And what I do, I love so much because it really keeps you in contact with the city. So as we know, we need to start selling the city first, and then we narrow it down to our neighborhood, and then to the building, and then to the apartment that you want to sell. So all those things, for me, I need to know who my competition is, what new things are coming to the neighborhood. Is the train going to have a stop in that neighborhood? The train that we are now building between Miami and Orlando. Are new restaurants coming on board? Is there a new stadium on the works? So all those things, you need to be connected. You need to understand. You need to know which banks are offering lending. What is it that? How can you help your client understand what they're buying, but as well making the physical, purchase and help them in every step of the way. So the more you learn, the more you're connected with that city, also the better that normally works for you.
So in all of that you just told us, I heard three things. Number one, and this one from the beginning, in the job of what you do, again, everybody, remember, you're selling multi-million-dollar properties a few years before they deliver. So when you do that, there's a little bit of storytelling going on. And storytelling so they can see, believe, trust, and have faith in what the project is. To develop that, there's also relationships. You're meeting brokers, you're having coffee, you're going to open houses, you're making the phone calls. And then from that, don't forget all of that involves hard work. So storytelling, building relationships, hard work, and oh, by the way, knowing your stuff. Tell us a little about the storytelling. You're starting, we don't talk about this enough on the show, but whether it's a presentation or doing something that you make it sound like, well, we just do it. I'm like, no. You don't just do that. You don't just sell a property like that and it's not even there yet without having a real skill set. And you just nailed it with, I think, because I've learned this in presentations, you start with the big picture, the city, where these people are coming from, who they are. Then you go into the area, the section of town, then you go into the actual development and the building, and then you go all the way down to the unit and all of the pieces and parts that are going to go in it. That's kind of a lot to keep up with and keep it glamorous and the dream going through all of that.
Well, and also doing it fast, because when you have a client coming to your sales gallery, sometimes, most of the times, they're going to see several projects on the same day. So you have to try to captivate their attention through obviously what you offer, but also through the way that you offer it. Sometimes you have your own client that you visit with them several properties, you do have the time to establish a relationship. But when they just come to see you for a short time to have the presentation, you have to establish that relationship right away. So I think that that's also another key point of the sales of the in-house agent.
So how do you do it fast?
Well, obviously, you get a lot of people that are transient, right? Me, myself, I have a story. I'm not from Florida. I'm not from Miami. But I do speak Spanish. How come? I'm from Spain. Well, my grandparents were Spanish or so on. I lived in New York. And, so you try to find the connection the moment I am a mother. I'm, whatever it is that you can have, that you can connect. And also, I think that is important to understand when the buyer is buying, how their life will be. So do they have children? Are they looking for a beautiful pool that has like a zero entry because they have little kids? Are they looking for, are they young and this is their first purchase? Are they looking for something fun and that we are next to Wynwood, and Wynwood is the cool area, and that's when so you kind of have to understand what is it that's going to make them tick. Try to do it as fast as possible while you're building that connection and learning about them. So really listen to who they are and what they need. So
do it fast, but when you do, tell that story quickly in a way that's engaging. And to do that, you've got to build a little rapport by bonding. You've got to build some trust by listening and knowing your market and knowing which things to talk about and not talk about, because there are a lot of things you can talk about that might not matter and might bore them and send them off.
Yeah, and also you have to be truthful, because there are things that are might not be great about the building. I mean, normally we build in areas that are up and coming. So there was this one building that it was right next to a rehab facility. So you have to explain, why are all these people having coffee as you come into the sales gallery? It is 11 in the morning. Why are 20 people having coffee outside of a building? So you have to explain that, yes, there is a rehab facility, but we already acquired the land, so that is going to move to a different location. So it won't be there by the time that they buy and they are able to move into their apartment. You have to know those things. You have to sound reliable. You have to sound that you know what you're talking about. Because if that little moment that you have, you're kind of doubting, oh no, they're not so bad. They're just having coffee. They're friends. That doesn't work.
Right. Well, not only that, but that's a big detractor. Like if you don't have the established trust and that goes into the relationships with the brokers in the community, they're not going to make it through the front door.
For sure, for sure. And at the end of the day, the community is small and they all talk to each other and they either recommend you or they don't. And so that's the only way kind of like to make it and to be successful with the referral of others.
Yeah. And then lastly, I'm gonna hit it at one time. Storytelling, building the relationships, and working hard. But you got to work hard at the right things. What have you found are the right things to work hard at in your career?
So I think you know, definitely you have to identify who is going to be the person making the decision. Sometimes you have a family coming, right? And you will think the father will make the decision, or the one that's really talking the most is the mother. But in reality, it's the daughter that is going to be the one that is going to make the decision, because they think that eventually she might be moving there in the future. So you have to learn to listen, but also be careful of paying attention to the person that's going to be eventually the decision maker. So those are the things that you kind of like have to keep refining and training yourself to be best at, by learning to listen, by learning the cues, by learning, you know, their conversation between them. And so those are, to me, it's fascinating. It's always learning about people, about their dynamics. It's very, very interesting.
I love you said that, because there's always an assumption that you know everything. You've got to look for what you don't know. Mm-hmm. Do you have any stories or anything about like learning that lesson, about how to listen and what to listen for?
So yes, you know, I've been in situations where I am faced with a couple and I see that there is friction between them, and then you understand that maybe they're referring to other people, and then at the end of the day, basically, they're not married. He's buying her an apartment, and that is a highly uncomfortable situation, because then they fight over whose name is going to be under. So those situations, looking somewhere else, pretending that you're not listening, and letting them make the decision. But you find yourself in situations that are very, very strange. Through the course of one building, unfortunately, I was faced with a death, with 4 divorces, with the birth of kids, with people losing their jobs. So many things happen within those 4 years. And so you kind of have to be able to sometimes be very nice to people, but sometimes also be very firm, because otherwise things get out of control as well.
So be supportive and be firm, because that can actually be supportive rather than misleading with people and their situations and their commitments with developments. Yeah. So what has been in your whole career from, I mean, you were born in Spain or Barcelona?
Yes, I was born in Barcelona.
You moved to the United States of America at what age?
Oh, very young. I was 18.
Oh, that's not that young. You were grown. Well, so you had a whole life.
But it seems like
in another country. Yeah. And then you come here to New York?
Mm-hmm. I lived in New York, and then I lived in Miami.
And how long were you in New York?
I was there for 10 years.
Oh, wow. So in New York for 10 years, and then to Miami. And so it's like, throughout those things that unfolded, how did they prepare you for where you are now? And what has been your biggest aha throughout that life? Because you've been in so many different places, different cultures, different experiences to land you in the success where you are today.
So I think that, you know, luckily for us, we can have many careers. We can do many things. We can reinvent ourselves, develop new passions. But through it all, I think the aha moment is that to find that whatever you do, what you want to be is in contact with people, and you want to learn about people, and you want to be part of this community, this net, so that it is our city and our small community of friends, and so that I think that is always been very, very important to me, even though I've done different jobs in my life. So to be able to learn about the toughness of New York now is great, because I get all these New Yorkers and I know exactly how they talk and I know how tough they are with the negotiating. So that has been a tremendous, skills that I acquired many years ago. But at the other hand, coming from the marketing side, I know how to present the renderings and present all these, beautiful story and everything. So I think that everything you do prepares you for something different. But every day is a new challenge with this.
Yeah.
With this new construction and having so many projects, every day you have new stories and new challenges to overcome. So you never are fully prepared for anything.
So you are with your life experience. So finding, so there's life success. Now let's look at the developments. You're handling, you guys have 18 developments and 4 coming.
Mm-hmm.
What have and you've seen so many and you've sold so many, what is the difference between the most successful developments and the ones that aren't successful? And how do you know which ones will be successful?
So we have had a tremendous success on all the projects on the beach. I think that, you think of Miami, you think of Miami Beach, you think of the sun. So all our projects, 57 Ocean, 2000 Ocean, Jade Signature, and Ritz-Carlton, which is the ones that are on the beach, have done tremendously. Now we only have a inventory in 2000 Ocean, which is in Hallandale, and it's an up-and-coming neighborhood. I think that is very important that the developer thinks very carefully on the product that they are creating for the area they're creating. Mm-hmm. I've seen where, you do apartments that are too small in size in an area that is very desirable, and you end up getting people wanting to combine the units because they want more room. So even though it seems easier to sell apartments for lesser price because they are smaller, but in reality, people in that particular area want a bigger apartment.
Wow.
So that is one problem. And the opposite also is the same. So in areas that are not fully mature, that are not fully developed, if we do too big of an apartment, that doesn't really work because it's too luxurious for the area that they're in, and the people that are ready to pay that price, they want a different location. So I think finding the specific product per the location, the specific design, and a combination of a fabulous architect and amenities, but they are at the level that the people that are going to be there are expecting, it's always very important. And always keeping, of course, a level of design and style and everything that is above everything else, but not too out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets out of what it's the realm of pricing for that neighborhood.
It's almost like you can, by aspiring to overachieve, you can just put yourself out of the competition.
Yes, that is.
Mm-hmm. It's not as good as it sounds to aspire to overachieve, because that won't be an achievement. So I'm going to say again, everybody, storytelling, building relationships and connecting with people, working hard, and by the way, knowing your market, knowing your product, and knowing your buyer. Correct. Are so important in what you're doing. And it's the combination of everything, but I love here, especially the storytelling and how you do it and the different ways of doing it. What has been your biggest surprise? Because when you have a development, it still is so much more of an unknown than like what we do in traditional real estate. We already can see the house. We know what to do. We know what the market is. The timing's a lot easier to deal with. What's been your biggest surprise, good or bad, with the development or developments that you've sold?
Surprise in terms of results, or in terms of...
Yeah. Or what? Yeah. That leave it open to see what you come up with. But
well, I had many surprises. I had surprises on spending many Sundays, because when I started, I had to start as a rookie, and then you're assigned the Sunday that nobody else wants to take. So you take all the Sundays for a year and a half, nothing really happens, or very little happens, but one day this one client comes. So this client comes and looks at the building, doesn't really buy, but 6 months later, you are in a different project, you're in a different place, and this guy recognizes you and he brings you his friend. And his friend actually happens to be a multimillionaire from China. So comes, sees the presentation, helped by the translator, and this translator basically asked me to print out all the inventory. So this is not something I want to do, because when you print out the inventory, if then there are price changes in the future, that's puts you in trouble. So, but in this case, because we are not understanding anything, I just need to put everything down in a paper.
Because this guy is from China.
This guy is from China,
and
so,
not speaking good English. It sounds like
nothing, zero. So there are 24 apartments that are available. He marks 4, and I'm like thinking, whoa, that's great. That's a great sell. So he goes to me, and the translator says, the marked ones, no, he wants everything else. So after a year and a half.
Were you kind of like, wait, was that like repeat? Did you get that backwards?
Exactly. I was like, that all the ones that are not marked, he wants, yes, prepare the contracts. So I sold millions of dollars. People will come and tell me, oh, you were so lucky that day that you were there and the client came. But in reality, it was not luck. It was a year and a half of spending every Sunday, and just being consistent and not missing a day. So this is one
commitment and hard work.
That we have, but it surprises in terms of like which project was super successful.
Oh, wait. We can't leave that story yet. Don't forget the successful project. So everybody, I want to just make sure you heard what happened. You were working on different developments, a couple of developments every year and a half. Someone that you had known brought their friend in who was investing from China. Yeah. And out of how he marks off, you give him a list of all of it, which what I love is don't make it difficult for somebody to buy. In the situation, intuitively and intelligently, you knew they needed the full list of product, even though you didn't typically do that. You did it. And in doing that, he marked off only 4 units that he didn't want out of how many?
24.
24. So did he buy 24? Did he bought 20? 20 units in one day.
Yes.
I mean, 20 condos in one day. That's insane. Like, you kind of sold out that day.
Yeah, that day. And they were all
right.
$1. So it was
like, what a story.
Yeah.
What a story. So moving forward, anything else to add to that? And then tell us about the development. That's too much fun.
No, I mean, it was a very special moment, because I felt like all the hard work had paid off. So that is something that I share, because when people complain now in a more managerial position about covering the Sunday, and I know I did it, and my son was 3 years old. So, but it is what it is. I and I tried to make the best out of it. In terms of success, I mean, it's been really incredible on overcoming all the hurdles that we had last year, right? So last year, all of a sudden, March 2020, COVID comes, we are locked out of the home, we are closed galleries. We basically, only way that we have to keep in contact with our brokers is by phone, and we all learn about what Zoom is, like, right now. So we all started organizing and trying to do webinars, Zoom meetings, and all these kind of things. So it was incredible to see the amount of effort and commitment of the in-house agents, and how they kept selling, even though it was all remote. So that was something new that last year brought into us. It brought that realization that, with technology, we really can live anywhere we want to live. Mm-hmm. And that almost validated even more living in Florida, living in South Florida, where you have this amazing lifestyle. Within January, you go and play tennis and jump on the ocean, and then have a really long lunch with friends outdoors. So this is the kind of lifestyle that people were searching for, especially when they were locked in their apartments, and they were small apartments and they couldn't really do much because it was freezing cold outside. And that was one of those big aha moments, like you say, because our lives changed. Our lives really had to adapt, and luckily for us, Miami has been exactly what everybody was dreaming of, that they would want to be the moment that they get out of the apartments.
It's amazing how adaptable we are as people, especially as things advance. We have technology, because you'd think, like the movies about these pandemics, of course, we don't know what the end of the story is, but they didn't look anything like what's happening, especially not in the real estate market right now.
Mm-hmm. Super hot. Lowest inventory, lowest...
well, I mean, you're selling stuff for a few years before it even is like done or out.
Crazy.
So developments, tell us, and only to learn. So what development have you had? I know there are a lot because you guys do really well, but with developments, but what have you found have been some developments or development that's done really well? And what did you learn from that about that development that you can bring forward in your career? Like, oh, wow, this kind of development actually sells really well, or why? Or was it something in the marketing or the product or the unveiling or the timing and so forth and so on?
So obviously we talked already about the projects on the beach, which, basically they sell it themselves also. People has that dream of, coming down the elevator and putting your feet in the sun. But what it's really the success story is the projects that are not on the beach, because Miami has almost reinvented itself. Miami exists outside of the beach, right? So we have got this new technology and startup hub. We become like a new startup hub, which is very important for us because we are attracting a lot of talent from all over the world. We also have a finance center that it's becoming really important. So all these projects that are in the Miami side, not in the Miami Beach side, have definitely benefit from it. We are now selling Brickell City Center, which is exactly the picture that you have behind you.
Here you go, everybody. Right.
The heart of Brickell, which is our downtown per se. So the heart of Brickell, and we have amazing apartments from 1 to 4, 5 bedroom penthouses. So that is an exact, basically explanation of what Miami is all about, which is people that wants to be urban, that wants all these incredible amenities, that wants the shopping, because we have the best shopping in town right below with the Brickell City Center shops and restaurants and all that. So that is the new Miami. That's what the Miami is growing to be. And that is what is very exciting to see. So we have all these projects in Brickell that are coming downtown on the water. And that is also coming in the years from now, because Miami is not stopping. We are getting all these new persons moving to Miami every day, and there are not, people that are looking for the second homes that we were saying. There's people that are coming to move and permanently live in Florida.
Well, and on that, on the growth of the city and the change of lifestyles, we had talked a little bit, not recording, about boutiques. So I think tell us a little bit about boutiques versus a high rise, and then we're going to kind of transition in our final three. But
right,
and how can we learn from that, just as agents in general as well? Well,
so we have a desire. We have definitely request for that kind of building, that it's not the massive 300, 400 apartments. We call it boutique when it's like, around 60 apartments or less, 70 apartments or less, where, the amenities are not shared with so many people, your elevators are not shared with so many people. And that has been very, very successful. We have a project in Bay Harbor Islands called Onda, which is doing incredibly well. They have private marinas, so that also the access to the water and be able to not have to go to the beach, but you go with your boat and you're totally private with your friends and family. That's something that is very, very on demand. There are almost like no marinas left available in Miami. So that's been super successful. Ambienta, another project also in the Bay Harbor Islands, is sold out, and it's sold out in 4 months. It was a boutique building of only 30 units.
Wow.
And we have other projects that are in the neighborhood that are doing also extremely well. Monaco, also with a marina, Monaco Yacht Club on Indian Creek in front of the infamous Indian Creek Island. So really phenomenal views and great apartments there. So we do have that smaller size building that is very much in demand, because people just feels like they have a capability, if they want, of almost like a touchless entrance. So you have like, you can go in, don't even touch the elevator, you be recognized, you go to your home, you can open with your phone. So that makes them feel very safe and very comfortable.
Wow, that's incredible. So I'm tempted to ask one more question, so I'm going to, and then the final three. What do you think is the secret sauce of your success and the success of the development that you're with?
So the secret sauce of the company definitely has been being very choosy about the developments that we represent. So just establishing our reputation through the years, for sure. My personal sauce, I don't know, just working hard, I guess. And then,
well, you said it, story tell the right way, build the relationships, work hard, and know your market and your buyer.
Yeah, but work hard at all those things. So,
yeah.
And then what was the last question?
That was it.
That was it.
But I always quote Kevin Brown on the show, because Kevin Brown always says, you can ask people their secret sauce, but they never know what it is. Exactly. Other people just see. Like yours is your positivity, your connection, your caring. It's your authenticity. Okay. And combining it with those 4 things we talked about. So now the final 3. What's that?
I believe you. You just say so.
So final 3. It's true. I interview. We're on like this is gonna be like episode 237, I believe. So I'm getting a little confident.
Amazing.
Final 3.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Final 3. Number 1. What has been your biggest resource in your success?
My biggest resource. So I think it's got to be the team that I work with. So we have an incredible international department, the marketing department, the broker relationships that we establish. So it's not just the work of one person. It's an incredible team that supports everything we do and the sales that we do. So just to get to where we are right now, it's the work of many layers of people and in many capacities. So it is definitely a team effort.
I love that, which really taps back into that relationships and connectivity that this conversation kept going back to. Next question. What do you think would be the book that we have to read or that's most impacted your life and or career?
So I won't quote you a book because honestly, I'm so busy reading all the trade magazines to learning everything that's going on. So I cannot tell you what is the one that has impacted me the most. But I do promise you, since I watch your podcast with Mr. Chris Voss, that I will read his book ASAP.
Never split the difference. Anybody who listens to this show, it's gotten to the point everybody loves to make fun of me, but I'm not kidding. Best ever.
For sure.
I've read a lot of them. It's good, clearly. Last question. From our conversation today, if I and everybody listening is just going to forget everything except one thing, what's the one thing you hope we take away from this?
So that if they want to try something different, they want to try to be an in-house agent, they should call me first.
I love it.
But also that it's definitely a different type of work within the real estate that might be very exciting for some people that loves to be in contact with their city and establish connections with brokers, but at the same time maybe has a little bit more structure if that's something they want to explore.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to add another one. What do you think is the biggest reason that being in new construction is for you versus anything else, or for somebody? And not that we're trying to sell this to people, but just giving people perspective on the industry at large.
Yeah. So in a city like Miami, where it's in incredible growth, I think that is what offers it offers the city of the future. You have those amenities that you don't see anywhere else. You see, basically, you now have meditation rooms. You have UV rays, in the spa treatment, all kinds of spa treatment even for dogs. You have all those. You kind of have to study a little bit sociological what is people are asking and requiring, and that you learn what the city of the future is. So for me, that's super, super exciting.
Love it. Carmen, thank you so much for being on the show. It's so great to see you and so great to having you on. Everybody, Carmen Casadella with the Fortune International Group, Vice President of New Construction Sales, and she is in South Florida.
Thank you so much, Jere. This was so much fun. I really appreciate. I love talking to you. I feel like I know you already forever, and I hope that we can catch up soon.
I can't wait. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. If you like this episode, please share it with friends. To find more episodes, search Jere Metcalf Podcast on any platform for podcasts, or go to JereMetcalfPodcast.com. That's JereMetcalf podcast